stage is Big Sounds, and I'm joined today by Mikko Von Hertzen from the Von Hertzen brothers. Hi, Mikko, how are you?
Hi, all good up north. We had our first frosty morning this morning when last night our temperature went below zero. So, some
Oh,
scraping of windows in the cars and stuff. So
rather
it's
you
getting
than me.
cold. It's getting cold and dark.
I'm sure you notice the dark up there even more than we do.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So basically, the whole point of this podcast is to discuss the small stages and the grassroots music scene in the UK on the basis that we at Uberrock, we cover the grassroots music scene as well as we cover international artists like yourself, recognizing that without grassroots music scene, there will be no music in the future.
Right.
So we're trying to promote that. And our main ethos is looking at sort of smaller bands as well as just people like yourself.
Hmm.
The Music Venue Trust, they turned around and they created a report that said that grassroots music venues are closing at a rate of about one a week, and that
Right.
international artists are not they're not touring as much as they used to in the 90s. It's gone down by about 50%. And I'm
Hmm.
sure you've noticed that from your perspective. You don't do
Yes.
as many gigs as you used to do in
Yes.
the 90s. And a lot of that is due to the rising costs of touring.
Hmm.
So they're trying to get larger artists to contribute to a fund to support the grassroots music scene, which is great. There are
Hmm.
people like Enter Shikari for one band, and Sam Fender. They're contributing money from their tours um, to the Music Venue Trust to support music venues. And the biggest one that's come about recently is Coldplay have announced that 10% of their ticket sales are going to the Music Venue Trust to support the grassroots music venue scene.
Hmm.
My
With their
thought,
sales, that's a good chunk of money. I hope.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's three or £4, I'm sure. I'm sure you've got a similar problem in Finland with the grassroots music venue scene.
Yeah, there is that. Finland is, of course, like you can't compare Finland really with the UK because we have like 10 big cities that actually have a music venue, and we only have 5 million people, 5.6 million people living in Finland. Those cities, they usually only have one venue, and then they have something like a sports hall or something where the bigger bands go and play. And yeah, so it's very tight with, like you said, everybody in the music industry who have small clubs, they are struggling, but luckily we are a welfare society, and we have like these governmental uh, support systems for the smaller venues, so everybody acknowledges the problem, but we do have like an instance where these smaller clubs can actually like get some support from, and because it's really important that those cities have a live music scene, and it's not just some Irish pub somewhere and somebody, a troubadour playing in a corner, just like a two 2 meters by 2 meters like place where somebody can sing and play. Actually have a venue where like bands like us can go and play. But yeah, everybody is struggling at the moment because, like you said, like the cost of touring is going up, and the smaller venues, obviously they can't raise the ticket prices because then it becomes like a little bit of an elite thing to go and see a band. And so there's definitely something similar happening in Finland as well. Maybe not uh, in the extent that you guys have in the UK at the moment.
You say you've got a population of about 6 million. Wales has got a population of about 3 million.
Oh,
We've only
right.
got 40. We've only got 48 music venues anyway.
Okay, well, we might have, I would say, like, approximately 20 venues. Like, of course, Helsinki is different because it's a big city,
Mm.
so we have 6 venues here. But the rest of the country is like really like, if there's if there's two venues in a city where then that's quite a lively scene for us. So we've
Mm.
been touring the same clubs all over and over and over again. Uh, and getting to the next step, which would be then playing like these bigger halls or concert halls or something like that, it is very difficult for smaller bands to do that step, to get to that point that they can actually take the risk of like booking something like that. And yeah, obviously, the the artists that can really make a good living and and play those kind of bigger arenas are getting less and less, and the main cause is that, like you said, that where's the future of our music, where do you grow from if you don't have any soil where you sprout from, and the smaller venues are just that.
Exactly. If you want to get to the top of the tree, you've got to have roots to get there.
Exactly. Yeah. It's true. It's
Like
something we should address.
It's nice to know that it's not just a UK thing. Then it's going to be a worldwide thing. I know you've toured over here for several years now. Do you remember the first gig you played in the UK, and where was it?
I do remember we played in the Jazz Cafe in Soho in London, and it was 2011 that we came over. The first 3 albums, we really didn't think that we had like an international career ahead of us. We were just like, writing songs in English because that's what we listened to. Like growing up, we were listening to all these great bands from the UK and the States, and so we felt like English as a singing language was kind of like obvious for us. But then with Stars Align that came out in 2011, we signed with Universal, like a bigger record deal. And that's when we started also heading abroad from here. And Jazz Cafe is a very small venue, or was. I think it's bulldozed down already now in London.
Mm.
So it was in the center of Soho, kind of underground, and it was like a legendary place. But, that's one example for you. That venue doesn't exist anymore. Like, and all those small clubs that they had on Denmark Street in London, like the 12 club or something. What was it called? Where I used to go and see like punk bands when I was living in London. So those were all like, it's long gone,
Yeah, I mean they've gone from about 3,000 in 1990 to just over 850.
Oh my
in
God,
the UK,
yeah.
So it's dropped phenomenally.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've seen you, I wouldn't say innumerable times, but I've seen you on every tour since about 2016.
That's nice.
So,
I hope you're coming again. I hope you're coming again.
I definitely am. I very definitely am. I'll be there at Rockstock in November. So,
cool.
It'd be nice to. I did speak to you the last time as well, but like I said, I've seen you on big stages and I've seen you on small stages. The one stage that really made me think about a small stage and a big sound was Thekla in Bristol. That is a unique venue in and of itself, being in a ship. And I remember you asking the crowd to contact the Steelhouse organisers to say, could you get you on the bill for the same year?
Yeah, and they almost they drowned in requests. Like they were, it was funny because Mikey, who is booking Steelhouse, he sent the message to Julia, stop, I don't want to hear about this. Okay, I'll book them. So it actually made a difference. We were able to, kind of like crowd fund our like way to that big stage. But yeah, I mean, we played in Bristol in Tekla twice, I think, and also the Fleas. Yeah,
that was back in 2017. That was.
Could have been, yeah.
I know it was.
All right. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Given that there's all this is going on with the smaller venues, I know you've done acoustic sessions in Finland, and I reviewed all your albums for the last few years for Uberrock, including live at Tavastia. Have you considered stripping back and going to a smaller venue to support them? I
mean, when we come over to England and we play England and Wales and Scotland, I think that we, for us, a band like us, it's better to fill the smaller places like packed than to risk it and go to the O2 Academy size, because we've done both, and like for us the best gigs are always when it's packed with people and it's intimate, and we can create that big sound in the small room, as your like the title of the podcast is saying. And so I know that the guys, for example, Tekla, you mentioned Tekla, that's a great example of a venue which it has something in it. The venue itself has something in it, and if you have a good experience in a place like that, which is intimate, and you can see from everywhere the band, you can see all the expressions on our faces and everything, you remember that. Whereas if you go to something bigger and you're kind of like on the back, in the back, and you can't really get that same experience. So I would say that we're definitely doing both, especially in the UK, because we are very much aware of the situation with the smaller clubs in the UK. And as a band, we are not in the position that we can put 10% of our ticket sales to this fund, but we're in a position that we can go and play those venues so that people show up, and they have a good evening for the venue. That we can do.
Yeah, and in all honesty, the venues that I've seen you at, you do bring a big sound.
Huge yeah, that's kind of like trademark, yeah.
Now, just to give you an idea, part of the Music Venue Trust thing is they've developed this resource called Hereby. I'm just going to show you a quick link to it. It may be useful for you because you may be able to find venues that you've not seen before. So
okay, great.
I'm just going to share the screen a second. This was developed by the Music Venue Trust. It's an AI resource that covers all the grassroots music venues in the UK. So I've just circled in around Cardiff here, just because that's roughly where I live.
Yeah.
And you can see all of these are venues that have got various things. But you can explore venues. So should you want to see venues and find information, look for somewhere to play, then it gives you an idea of the capacity of the venues for yourself.
Oh, that's really nice.
And I'm not doing this to promote it, but I think it's such a useful resource, particularly for smaller bands, that they could find and be able to do a smallish tour in smaller venues, and get around the easy way.
Yeah. That is actually great, because then when you're like motivated and you want to play gigs, and you can contact from there, you can find like a contact that you can contact straight and say that, is it possible to arrange a gig for us and all that stuff. So yeah, that's really useful.
I'm surprised that the Music Venue Trust are not pushing this with the PR companies, because a couple of people that I've spoken to in the industry are unaware of it. But it's like I said, it doesn't just do the UK, it's got all of North America on there as well.
Oh wow. Yeah, I'll definitely look into it myself, and also share it with Julia, our manager, so that we can take a look, because when we are planning the tours, that's really helpful to maybe like, fit dates. If we have like empty dates somewhere, and we have like something booked, but then we're trying to find something in between. Yeah, that's really helpful.
And the other thing as well, it'll save you having to travel too far from one place to another.
Exactly.
You'll still get an audience, and you still get a good audience without having to spend hours in the back of a bus.
Right. Yeah. Thanks for that.
So, right, that's enough about this. Let's talk about the important things in life. Let's talk about the album. Like I said, I loved Red Alert in the Blue Forest. Absolutely loved it. And, all of a sudden you're gone. I couldn't listen to it. It took me a dozen times to listen to it before I stopped crying.
Yeah.
I mean, your music does evoke that emotion. And that was one of those tracks that just hit me at the time. There was something going on in my life, which, don't need to share, with nothing huge. But ultimately, it evoked that emotion, and it still does.
It was, we were all living a time which was, to say the least, it was really weird with the pandemic and everything. And we were all kind of like globally in a similar situation, that we lost many things, and we lost connection with our dear friends, and there was no way to see each other, meet, and so it was, the whole song, the idea came from that absolutely horrific like situation when you're reading all the news about people who were not able to visit their parents who were hospitalized, and
Mm.
so it was just so rough in so many ways. And then, in life you never know when you're going to lose somebody, and
Mm.
that's how the song came about. And even if you're prepared, it always, if you lose somebody like that, it always is a shock, right? So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, I've worked in healthcare all my life, so I know the other
Yeah.
side of it. But
Right.
I've
Right.
also lost important people to it as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's enough about All of a Sudden. I mean, I've read that you said the latest album was Time to Let Go,
Hmm.
and really kick loose and crack on and do something really
Hmm.
upbeat.
Artists like us, it's everything. The life is like go. The life is kind of like goes in circles, like the emotions, and you know what happens around you has a tendency to reflect on the art when you're kind of open to things. War is Over was very much about the refugee crisis. Back in the whole Europe was kind of like, not prepared to deal with the war situation, and people coming from different countries, and we were just like, that was a shock. And then the pandemic, that was red alert in the Blue Forest, and now we felt like, okay, we've been in the depths quite a bit, so let's try to let's try to concentrate on the good things, and like step out in the sunlight a little bit, in a way. So we try to emphasize that, even though we are living in a very difficult time with,
Mm.
I'm in Finland, and we have a long border with Russia, and Russia is you know waging war, and so it's not easy for us here. But yeah, it
Yeah, I
was
can
it just
imagine.
felt like letting loose and trying to find happiness in the situation that we're in.
I mean, you released Starlings as the first single, and it absolutely blew my mind. It's a fabulous single, absolutely fabulous single. And the whole ethos of the title of the album as well, it gives me that impression as that way the music swings and ebbs and flows and speeds up and slows down. It's perfectly titled In Murmuration.
Yeah, I'm really happy that you picked on that, because it's with the music, and when we have the Von Hertzen brothers is very much of like a visual band. So it's we always try to kind of like find musical ways of expressing the visual. So many of our songs have a very visual element to it, and the reason why Starlings is a very fast song is that when you look at the Murmuration, their movements, the Starling movements, are very fast, but they're also very smooth. So there's a little bit of a flow there, but it's really fast, and it's moving continuously, and it's making shapes that you wouldn't expect. you know so that was like, when we were writing the song, we wanted to kind of like visualize that in the song, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, it definitely does. And I noticed you had a couple of personnel changes in the band.
Yes, yes. Our Swedish keyboard player decided that it was time to find something else. Find some other musical projects. So, but we were very lucky that we already had somebody kind of like in mind. Because Markus, who is now playing the keyboards and the woodwinds and the sax and everything, all the flutes and stuff, he was already very familiar with the band, and he played on Peace Patrol on the last album, and he's been touring with us when we've done like acoustic stuff. So yeah, so he's now a
You've
full
you've
member
done
of the
it.
band.
You've done it now. That saxophone solo on Peace Patrol just blew my mind. It's
I know,
probably
when we
one of
got
the
that track.
it's probably
Yeah,
one of
just
the
go ahead.
best that I've heard since, I don't know, Jerry Rafferty's Baker Street and Hazel O'Connor's
Yeah,
Will You. It is absolutely incredible.
it is, and I mean, we were laughing when like we sent the the song to him, and we said that this is your spot, and could you please send us your solo and try something out. And he sent us that, and when we got that, we were just laughing. It was so, and when you hear something like that for the first time, you just know, and you just like have goosebumps, and you just go, oh my god, this is exactly what we were after. And yeah, he really delivered, yeah.
Yeah, when I heard it, my jaw hit the floor. It was absolutely incredible.
I know. That's the beauty of like a human touch. You can't recreate that with anything. You can't recreate it with like people are making music with the machines and all that stuff. But when you have somebody putting that emotion into an instrument, and it's well recorded, it's something else. It just is.
So I hope you're going to let him loose on tour.
Oh yeah, I hope so.
Good. When I saw the video release for Ascension Day, it really raised a smile, and I assume that that's what you wanted to do with it.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like hats off to Bob Dylan and his legendary music video from, I don't know, the 60s, early 60s, I guess. And we felt like, this would be a cool thing to do, especially now when we had so many lyrics and so many like different, whoa, all these, things in the song. So that makes it kind of hilarious, right? So yeah, it felt like a good idea, and people have been really like having fun with it. They've enjoyed it a lot.
It's a very much the end of a winter's track, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, see where you went with that.
Yeah.
Now, Tightrope Walk is a very unusual track in my mind, and I assume that's Kia's way of expressing himself, because he does from time to time, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm. He does, yeah. He has the weirdest songs, and he has really cool, a little bit kind of like quirky songs that he writes, and then they just like, we love them because it's something different, and on the album you need many things, and then it's really refreshing when you have something that just pops up like that, out of the blue, and it's like, what is this, and oh my god, this is kind of fun. And it's we are essentially kind of like a prog rock band, right? So it has that prog rock element, with the weird riffing and all that stuff. So yeah, it was a very necessary component of the whole like piece of art that we created, the album.
Everything you do has a variability anyway. The last 4 albums, everything is so variable that why people would say that you're not a prog rock band, it amazes me. But you write all sorts of things anyway.
Yeah, we do. We don't really care what kind of music it is. If it's something that we feel like, okay, this needs to be done, it's a good piece of, the vision is clear, and then you feel like, hey, this has a beautiful melody or a good riff or something good enough to be recorded, then we feel like, yeah, let's do it. We don't care, what label, somebody sticks on it,
At the end of the day, if you like it, you like it.
Exactly.
As long as your fans like it, it doesn't matter.
It might be hard for them at times, but for us, it's like we do it mainly for ourselves, right? To amuse ourselves and create something that we like, and then we are very happy if somebody else also likes it. Yeah.
Well, I've not found anything in the last 4 albums that I don't like, so that's a different thing altogether.
That just speaks volumes of you. That speaks volumes of you, because you're brilliant. You're brilliant because you get it.
And as I said about expression of emotion, this comes across again in Wait For Me. I wonder whether that's a reflective element to do with, as like most of us, hopefully everybody gets older, but it's a case of, again, one of those things, you're thinking about losing somebody that's older, and it still touches that chord.
I think we all have like things in life, once you get older, you feel like, okay, what would have happened if I would have chosen something else, if I would have chosen this over that, and it's a song about like, having that feeling and feeling a little bit, not remorse, but maybe thoughtful about like, it's basically it's a song about love, right? And a love that could have been, and then uh, I think we all, it's kind of like a thing that we all carry with us, you know, a love that could have been. It doesn't mean that the love that you have now is something less, but there are many things and situations in life that you ponder, like maybe if I would have said yes to that, my life would look really different. So it's a song about that, and it's a little bit more hopeful than all of a sudden you're gone, but it has the same elements of longing, and longing is like one of the biggest motives for me to write music, because I have this like continuous longing within me, and somehow that longing seeps into the lyrics many a times, because I crave for love, I crave for bliss, and good feelings, and that's something that with the world that we live in, it's sometimes you get lost in the world, but that within you're always longing for beauty, and something that touches your heart, like good piece of music or something, whatever it is, and Wait for Me is you know tells that story of maybe thinking back, and if things if I would have done a
It could have been
different
different.
choice at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the guitar solo is absolutely sublime. I think it's tremendous.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree.
So there we are.
Mhm.
Thank you for your time. I did say we wouldn't be particularly long because I know you're a busy man. You're practicing for your tour and whatever, and probably
Yeah,
not. I don't know whether you're doing that this evening, but it's been lovely talking
yeah,
to you.
it has. You
Um,
mentioned in your email before we started this, you mentioned Snowstorm, and
yeah,
that that song is. We rehearsed it today, just an hour ago, and when you when you rehearse songs, you're kind of like focused on what you're doing, and you're trying to create that feeling that you were able to put on tape. And for the first time today, I felt it. Playing live, I felt that thing that
mm,
you hear in that song, and it was
yeah.
it was a very, very like nice and wholesome feeling. When you get into that song, and I wanted to just say that I'm really happy that you enjoy that song too. Yeah.
Oh, I did. I think it's a tremendous. Like I said, there's no one bad track on the album, not at all. So
Super.
anybody that
Thank you.
says there is, they're lying.
I agree. I agree. Once again, it just goes to show that you're brilliant, Dave.
The last thing is a bit of a curveball, really. I've seen a lot of my favourite bands playing in castles around Wales. Have you ever considered playing in a castle?
Oh, that would be amazing. That would be amazing, because like when you get from when you drive, like we many times drove to Wales from the side of Bristol, the big what
Hmm.
do you call it, bridge, over the big bridge, and everything
The bridge.
suddenly becomes like, yeah, everything suddenly becomes like hilly, and you have like beautiful landscapes and everything, and you have the castles and everything. That would be a dream for us to play in a castle in Wales, for sure.
Well, like I said, I'll have to see what I can do because I know a few people that promote gigs. I'll have to see if I can persuade them to put you on a bill.
Yeah, I already sent your question to Julie, our manager, and said, let's make it happen.
Well, if it happens, I'll be there.
Great to hear. Great to hear.
Okay. Well, thanks again for your time, and I look forward to seeing you at Rockstock.
Perfect, perfect. So it's only a month away, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
end of
only a month
November.
away. Yeah, yeah. Come and say hi
You've
when you see me there.
got Scotland and Buckley before that, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah. Here we are. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
hoping that we could do like in 2026, 2025 we could be there a little bit more again, you know, over there in Wales too. So fingers crossed.
As I said,
fingers crossed.
Wherever you are, if it's in the area, I'll be there.
Thank you so much.
God willing and a fair wind.
Thanks so much for your support.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time, Mikko. You take care.
Yeah, no problem.
Good luck.
You take care. Good luck. Thank you.
I'd like to thank Mikko for his time and allowing us to use the videos from live at Tavastia. Von Hertzen Brothers begin a UK tour on the 8th of March in Stourport-on-Severn, and I will be at the Fleece in Bristol on the 9th of March. Thanks again, Mikko. See you soon. Bye.